Hey y'all, you know who it is, your girl Whitney for Whitney Escapes, and it is going to be a great evening. Today, tonight, whatever time zone you're in, we'll have Chelsea Maria on here, and y'all know I've been waiting forever to have her here. So with no further ado, let's bring in Chelsea Marie. Yeah, right?
Hey y'all, yes ma'am, Chelsea Maria.
I was like, I have to say the. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh my God, I'm so excited. You know, we've been on this journey at
We
least
have.
over 2 years. I've been like, ah.
Yes, and I appreciate you, Whitney, because girl, listen, you keep me on my toes with the question. I'm like, hey, did I answer that? Okay, let me make sure I get in the next book. So I appreciate you a lot, a
I
lot,
love
a
you.
lot,
You're
a
like
lot.
one of my favorite writers ever. And when I got introduced
Yeah.
to you, I was like, even your first book, I was like, when you went off the script, I'm like, she is. Ever since then, I was like, oh my God. And then the brothers, that's what I told my sister and everything. That's why I'm not saying it because I told them they have to go back and read. So that's why I don't want to give it away. But I'm
Yeah.
like, they have to start. Even with me, because I was like, even like with LJ or JD, I was like, wait, who is he? And then I was, oh, okay. It was like coming back because I read them so long ago, but stuff was coming back to me. It would just, you're my favorite. So,
Yeah.
like I asked everybody, please tell the viewers a little bit about you and then why did you choose this book for us to read this month?
Whew, my name is Chelsea Maria, and I've been writing for 5.5 years now. I have about 21 books under my name. And y'all, it's been a journey that I thank God for every day because I'm doing something I never thought I would do. So it's been an amazing experience, and I'm very thankful that Whitney has literally been a part of this experience with me. So, um, and why did I pick Lost in London? Lost in London is very dear to me for several reasons, and the main one is showing my growth as an author because when I first introduced London, she was in my first book that I published as a published author, and For You I Will. So for her to be in the first story and for me to be here 5 years later to grow her was also growing myself. And then her story to me was like a redemption story for like women, not only those who have been victims and stuff, but just life. And I got to do that with her and her love interest, which to me was like writing a vision and making it plain when it comes to the men that we always pray for. That was what Quincy was for me. Uh,
Oh my God, I love Quincy. I love everything you're saying. And you're right when you say the journey of her, because she pops up here and there, and how you brought her all together, genius. And I was with Hope from the beginning. It makes so much sense. It was just freaking genius. And yeah, I know. I love Lost and Love. And before you even picked this book, I talked to you when I finished this book. I was like, girl, she probably just go crazy. But it was so beautiful, even on my journey as a woman. Like I told you previous, I just reread this book and I got new revelation
mhm.
of what I got like when I first read this book. And it's just so mind blowing. Me, my sister's like, I can't wait to see how this makes you so emotional. Like that's why I'm like, this book got me so emotional. Like it's this journey of life. But like I was saying, it doesn't always have to be traumas that you
Right.
can relate to. We all have different relationships with everybody, and they're not always peachy and great. And just because people see, oh, she's happy, you don't know the truth. Even if it was that type of trauma, who said I would be willing to share that type of stuff with anybody? So we all
Exactly.
go through things that we're not always open about. And this book was just phenomenal.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And y'all know. Let me show you my notes, y'all. Now I showed her this. Look at this. I did this all yesterday and today. I was like, I'm gonna be here on all
Listen,
night. And this was just like little clips that I didn't want to forget to say. And when I looked at it,
I'm
I said,
here for it.
you
Like when
right.
we done, I need you to send them to me.
So yeah, we about to go in. And any viewer, because I know a lot of y'all say are gonna come on. Hey Lou, that's my sister.
Hey.
Quest. Her name is Quest too. That's what she goes by. So she's like, oh, I'm also and powerful, like Quest, because he's Quest. So I'm like,
That's
I was
right,
waiting for
girl.
her to realize his name was the same as hers. But oh, London. This is just so good to me. So, yeah, I know I'm about to get into this. Okay, let me start from the beginning. We talked about when it first started with Elgin, did I say his name?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because y'all know I'm horrible with names here, so please correct me.
It's
I
fine.
I will say the wrong name. Y'all should know this by now, but that's my truth. Pray for me. So going from you started off on the beginning like boom, like you didn't ease us in here. You started off the rip like when she got raped. You know what I mean? She going through how she went to meet her rapist. You know, got pretty up for him, Elgin, hot mess. And then she was like, why am I here? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then she talking to him or whatever, then Cashin, am I saying his name right? Cashin?
Casey.
Casey. I love him.
I love him too.
I love Casey. I love Emil. I love all of them. Emil's really one of my favorites too. But Casey is so funny. Even when he called her and all that good stuff on the phone with his hot messness, and she goes back. But that one scene when she goes to him, talking in her head, like, why am I here? I'm getting all pretty so he won't be mad at me. And then she drives, pulls her car over,
Mm-hmm.
and then that discussion or that prayer she had with God. Please talk about that because that was deep.
Ooh, okay. That was it, because girl, that gave me chills. Because I remember right now part and I cried.
Mm-hmm.
Um, London was dealing with a lot, and we saw her growth. We saw her, to everybody's eyes, she was like this woman who was immature. She had so much, but she was one of those people that was hurting inside, and nobody was paying attention to her. They was only paying attention to her actions instead of asking her. And she finally like had her breaking point. I mean, like, you're going to meet your rapist. You're getting dolled up for him. You're don't want to piss him off again because that is what set him off the last time. You did something. You in your mind, you did something to set him off. So you presented this perfect figure for him. And when that mirror broke, it was like she flashed back to every part that of like every abuse and everything like that. And she cried out to God at the same time of like, why are you allowing this to happen to me? Like, there is like, I can't call on nobody. There's nobody here. Like, why are you allowing this to happen to me? Like, am I not worthy enough? Um, and that prayer was, truth be told, one of mine. Not saying I went through those experiences, but sometimes we get so dark in our world that we're like, God, like, are you picking on me? Like, why is this happening to me? Like, why did you create me to be such a punching bag? Like, I had those moments. Like, I said
Mm-hmm.
the prayer London did to God. I'm like, why you allowing this to happen to me? So in that moment, like, I really channeled like my own hurt and pain of when like I felt like God literally like abandoned me. Like,
Yeah,
why are you allowing this to happen to me? So channeling that through London, like, it literally aligned of how I felt in my moments and how she felt in hers. So that's where that came from. Like,
girl.
I
I
didn't realize
love
how powerful that was until like I finished writing it and my face is like in tears. I was like, I guess I needed to release that then. Like,
when you put in there, and I put it, a rap gift portraying an answered prayer, but really was the devil himself.
whew, yeah.
So she was like, how the devil was listening to her prayer, and knew, and that
Hmm.
what happens. We gotta realize that people and definitely women of faith, that he hears us too. And when you wrote that in there, I was like, I felt everything that you said because, we don't always even use our discernment. And even later on, Quincy goes through the same thing. And so I hope I remember to say that when he does it himself. But in that moment, when you said that, like the serpent and stuff was listening to her, and I was just like, I could
Yeah.
feel everything that she was saying because you, like you said, no matter what going on through you, come to a point where you're like, what's going on, God? I'm doing everything I can do to be a
Hmm.
woman. Even in my journey now as a mom and a wife, I always question what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Because I have a husband, like who I'm responsible for, just like he's responsible for me. Like our impact for each other is going to affect us. Either
Hmm.
way it goes, good, bad, or indifferent. my relationship with my children is going to affect them and me. So you're constantly, then we feel like, what? Like, like, God, what is going on?
Right.
Do they not understand me? Do I not understand them? And having vulnerable moments where you just like feel like you're putting on a facade, or like, oh, I'm not your superwoman, like I'm not perfect. And reading that, I was just like, you know what? The devil also hear us. So we have to be
Yeah.
mindful who, what's going on, our discernment to be like, is this really God answering me? Or is this the enemy
Right.
that knows what we want?
And I always tell my friends, like, and I've been guilty of it too. I've changed that lately because I had to learn the hard way of like, we always pray, oh God, send me this person, this, that, and the other. But we got to be specific because he going you pray for a husband, he gave you a husband. But
Mm-hmm.
oh, now he lazy and this, that, and the other. But you didn't pray for him to have those qualities.
Yeah.
You got to be specific. And yeah, the enemy will listen to your prayers because I'm like, oh, okay, I'm thinking this guy. No, that's a fraud.
Girl.
So not even just in like romantic relationships, just life in general. You just gotta have, like you said, that discernment to know.
True. And then when she was having a breakdown, she talks about her cousin Orlando, who was her first abuser, and then how she went to therapy, and the therapist was saying how she started attracting or being hypersexual or something like that
Yeah.
because of that. And then she also mentioned, I think, Desmond, her abuser in college.
Mm-hmm.
So which was very awakening. Even my reader journey, my growth as a woman. The reason I love reading more so than like watching TV, because I don't really watch TV. It's like, how do you read? I'm like, it's because reading these books and really getting the detail and backup of these characters. Everyone judged London, but
Every.
not realizing all her behaviors happened when she was molested as a child, and she's
Mm-hmm.
acting out. And I was just like, you know what? All of us, if we look at our own traumas, what are we doing that happened to us as a child that are affecting us today? That's all I was thinking about while I was like, what am I doing? Like I kept like trying to really dig deep to figure out what is a trauma, and then it hit me, insecurities. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
my insecurities came because my dad left when my dad divorced my mom. And when she and I related to her definitely being like a father's girl, a daddy's girl,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't realize it. And then my mom said, well, you said something to me. I think I was 3 years old, and I can't remember exactly what she said I said. And I was like, you never know. And as an adult, you don't realize what seeds are planted, because it could be good or bad seeds.
Right.
And because my dad and my mom got divorced when I was young and I was so close to him and he moved away, no intent of really, doing anything malicious to me, but you not having my father around affected me greatly in my life. Even with men, even like, oh, you're great, but in my mind having doubt because the first man who loved me technically left. And everybody's like, oh, you and your dad are so close. Oh my God, your dad. I'm like, we are. So that's another way how the enemy can dilute our visions. Oh, I'm so close to him. He wouldn't do. And God said, no, that's the first guy that ever broke your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I never realized it, because I talked about that every day. Hey, never realized that all the self doubt I ever had, like in a relationship or even with myself, all stemmed from my parents have, and I never even until I really dug deep to be like, what is it? What is it? What is this
Mm-hmm.
thing that I don't know what the void is? And I'm like, it can't be my dad, because we are so close. I'm like, no, that's who the heck it is. Get that right with him. So all these things she were doing, I was just like, oh my God, this is reminding me of all these emotions. But it also felt good reading her journey. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So I was just like, whew. When she was in that side of that road,
Yeah, that whole prologue, it was heavy, and I wanted to get the heavy out first,
mm-hmm.
and then to just let y'all go along her healing journey.
Yeah.
So, because I was like, here, I'll just give y'all the heavy first. So, see, look at that. Listen, them situations have you with gray hair. I can't tell you how much grays I got on this blonde.
It's true. It is so true that we have to be, even now, I literally had this conversation with my mother last week. I said, Mom, we got to be more detailed in what we want, because when I was in Canada last week on business, and we were talking to a group of people, and that's why I had to call my mom. And I was like, you know what? God gave me everything I asked for, everything that I asked for, and I'm like, but am I happy? Was I ready for what I asked for? Because I would say, I want to have my kid the same age I was when my parents had me. I want to be married by this age. I want to have my house. I want to have this. I want to have my business. Everything I have. And I'm like, well, why am I going through this? Because it's like you said, he gives you everything you have. But I paint my own picture.
Girl, come on, man.
And that was, I swear he told me this and it was so profound to me. I was like, Mom, what's that? I said, I'm not upset. It's just an aha moment. You know what I'm saying? Is that God said to me so clear, you painted that picture. I gave you what you want, but you never saw the picture I had for you. Like I thought, well, my kids are gonna be this way, my husband will be that way, I'm gonna be this way. I said, none of us is what was in my mind. And that's why I tell people who have kids, I said, kill whatever dream you had. Because before they even get here, you have an expectation of a person who
Right.
hasn't even had time to live or breathe, or even your spouse. Be specific of what you want, like, a listener, someone kind. Because if you have your own dream, you forget the blessing that's right in front of you.
Because it's not always going to come how you want it bundled. And I learned that the hard way. I'm like you, like, I had it. It's like you have it all, but it's not clicking to you because you're like, but this isn't what I prayed for, but it's what you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Is what you wanted. It just doesn't look how what you prayed. And I had to learn that lesson real hard. Not just in life. Like I'm praying for God to do this, that, and the other. But when it comes, it's not wrapped how I want it to be wrapped. So now I'm not receiving it how I should be grateful for it because I'm like, well, God, this ain't what I said. Like, like I said X, Y, and Z. You giving me A, B, and C. But technically X, Y, and Z is better than A, B, and C. But I'm looking through my own carnal eyes. So
That part. That's
yeah.
true. I had to apologize to my husband one time, y'all. Because he used to always be like, whatever you want with, whatever you like, whatever you want with. I'm like, he don't care about nothing I want. He'll always be like, whatever you want with. And one time I was saying, I said, God, this guy, he don't even care about what. He said, do you not realize he's telling you, really, whatever makes you happy, I got you. And the whole time, I'm thinking he doesn't care about anything. Like, he don't care about what I want. And and it's true. Like if I didn't work, I'm like he steps in the gaps, but because he wasn't saying what I wanted to hear, I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't receiving what. Not like I'm listening to him, but not watching his actions. And I had to like humble myself and be like, okay, because that was very hard for me. I'm like, John, I want to apologize to you. He's like shot. I'm like because you're good to me, and I don't always appreciate because it's not how I thought it should be presented to me. And then he always said, because I'm not you, Whit. I'm not you. But we have these visions. And I told Mama, we got to change how we view things, especially me. I'm changing that. That's why I like reading. And this book was so therapeutic for me in so many different ways of my life. I'm like, you have to change how you view things. You have to own yourself and don't be apologetic of really spending time with you, because I'm like, how can you really know you if you don't spend time with yourself? You get so consumed
Exactly.
in your roles as a boss, as a mom, as a wife, as this and that. But then
Mm-hmm.
who is the woman? So I love when Cashin was like, no, the Don, take care of yourself, the glam squad room. I was like, yes.
Yeah,
I
he came
love that part and that
Wonder so
character.
beautifully. Oh gosh, he did.
Oh my God. I freaking love him. I really do. And I hope he's having a book. And I said it to you before, but I hope.
He is having a book. He's one of those characters where he had like his full story hasn't come to me yet. So
Yeah.
I'm okay with that because I want to do him justice. Like
Yes,
he
yes,
deserves
he does. And
some
I
good.
don't know if that singer should be it either. I think it should be like a warm up to something.
Yeah,
Cause
like I don't know. Like I think that was just how that was supposed to be like in the book.
yeah, but I'm like, I hope that's not the because
Yeah,
I'm not wrong with her. I just feel like I don't know. I just feel like that wasn't. I don't know. Because I'm like, it'll be like his first verse and that's it. He needs to kind of do what he did for London for himself.
exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
See, I
Yes.
get it. I get
Yes. He gotta cater to him. He gotta
yes.
forgive himself first of all.
Well, let's get back to London and how, and this is why I said what I just said, when you don't always understand or perceive things in your hurt or your emotions, because women, we are emotional.
Hmm.
When Cash Casey on. Right? I said it right?
Casey, yes.
Casey and close. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Casey and I gotta say this name. Jesus Christ. I was not calling him that at all. Casey and when he told London, "Hey, I'm giving you the night at the W," and she's okay. And what she heard was that I don't want you around my family. She automatically felt like rejection. I don't want you here in my space when that wasn't it. And that just proves my point. Like us as women, sometimes we hear things and like because we're like mentally and emotionally not there. And let's talk about another point at the hotel when she's back, when she talks to God again.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, please talk about this because I'm telling you, this whole chapter, look, oh my God, Jesus.
She was pouring her heart out because to her she had nothing left to give. So it was like
Mm-hmm.
if I have nothing left in me. If you don't have value for me, like if you're a God and you don't have value for me, how am I gonna have value for myself?
Yeah.
And that's how she felt in that moment. She felt like nobody cared. She was just the main one causing issues from everybody, from her brother, her parents.
He
Like
disappointed
it
me. Lanny
exactly like
disappointed me. From book one to now, I was like, Lanny, you are pissing me off. Like he was character, I'm like, he's pissing me off. Go ahead.
from everybody who she thought she had in her corner, she didn't have nobody.
Mm-mm.
And so now it was like, well, God, you the only one left because you created me. You created me like this. So if you created me like this, then I'm not worthy. So
Yeah.
just then what am I here for?
And
And
why he kept on
she,
having these monsters, bring these monsters on her path, like all these guys.
yeah, like all these people, guys, and everything like that. Like she's being reminded of what he did pulling her hair. So she cut her hair off. She's trying to self cut, but she doesn't like the pain of being cut. Trying to
Mm-hmm.
drink her sorrows away, but it ain't working fast enough. And that moment when Casey comes in and he snatches her off the rail at that moment. And I didn't want it to be funny because it's not, but how he like, I'm trying to sleep and I'm getting dreams. Somebody don't push me out my bed, like
They woke up and Amos said, "Do what it said."
right. So it's like one of those moments of even showing her like God is still caring about you because
Mm-hmm.
he sent me to you at this exact moment. Like if I had been a minute late, I would have been looking at you down below, not up here. So yeah, I had to make sure I broke London down to her lowest moment. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted everybody to see her at her lowest moment because when she was gonna go to her highest, you had to see the highs and the lows.
Yeah.
And having him there with her in that journey because he was there through all her journeys. I mean, she was pregnant too.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's what really tipped her off
Yep.
because you like, and then that's what really like, God, I'm pregnant with my rapist child.
And
Like,
she was relevant.
how much more like diabolical can it get? Like, this man raped me, now I'm pregnant with his child, and now I have to go through the decision of either having an abortion or keeping a baby.
And
And
she's good at abortions. And she's against that.
yeah, but
That scene was tough too. But Casey is hilarious. I love him. Got me out here, my flip flop hurt my back. Like he's laying her down. Like, come on now, what's
all
going on?
right,
He always brighten up the moment. That's why I think I love him.
exactly.
He's
You
like
know,
he
yeah,
understands, but he gotta be him. And Casey, I just, oh my God. But like you said, when he's like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? He's showing the pregnancy test and how even that scene when he busts, what are you doing to her? Holding her there, shielding her. It was just, that was beautiful. And it makes every single time he pops up, it makes me just love him even more because he, no matter what, or you can portray with all the different books of him. But I
mhm,
always knew I was going to like him from the beginning. I'm like, because his personality, you
yeah,
knew traumas, but he always been like the funny guy, and it's so. But he always been protected, no matter what happened. Even though Emil shot him 100 times to do stupid stuff, but he always shows up. You know what I mean?
I love their relationship.
I love their relationship with their brothers. That's what guys, you got to go back and read these stories. You have to. Um, but when he saved her, and that was God waking him up, where he's like, I don't know what it was. I thought I was bugging. I was high. I don't know what. My nephew gave me to smoke. Like, it's just this big voice and pushed me off the bed. I was like, wow, to have even that experience is like, I'm jealous, and I'm not even a bug. Like, I want God to be so push me, like, Whitney, what the heck are you doing? But those scenes and even a relationship was just beautiful. Then we fast forward a year later, and you talk about, her waking up early because she could hear the click clacks of
the girl
Ty and Molly.
Melly and Tay.
Melly and Tay. I know it's something. I'm close. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. Melly and Tay. And I'm so jealous of this grand room. Like 3 things, walk-in closet. They got the little. I'm like, me and my daughter need to get these fluffy little shoes down. I feel like I gotta order us some action. But I don't even do all that, like make all that stuff. But I'm like, I just feel like I should have one.
Y'all should have one. Like, he really redesigned a whole room just for his girls so they can, because he knew London, she was prissy. He wanted to give her things that he knew made her happy. And he knew her being glammed up is what made her happy. Like, she was a girly girl. She's a girly girl. Like, she's a prissy woman. She's sassy. Like, his daughters are sassy and little prissy things. So it worked out fine.
Oh my God. Okay, so is it? You say it's how you say
Tay
the
and
one?
Melly.
Tay.
Yeah.
That girl is a hot mess. I love her. She's definitely her daddy. She is her dad.
And
With
she
the
is.
she can't pronounce half the words. With her Birkin
Yeah.
bags,
Her
Birkin
Birkin
core,
core.
her red bottoms that he painted red. Oh,
Yeah.
I just love that daddy daughter relationship. I thought it was just so beautiful. But then I don't want to miss. Is it Cashin?
Yeah, Caston.
That poem.
Oh, that he's here for London? Yeah. Now
He's
he is his uncle's nephew.
He is.
Yeah.
That's why he live over there. But because I've been following along his character, and for him to be like, because remember before he was like very quiet, and for him to have those deep words, I was like, he's looking like his daddy, acting like his uncle. A trip. But then after that beautiful scene, a year later, she kind of got it a little bit together. We introduce Quincy. How can I even get started with this man? Even the first freak, he's a teacher, he's an educator, how he's loved books, how he's so sensitive to the spirit. But he's a man, and I love a man's man. I love a confident guy that you can't waver, you can't make him change. Like he knows what he stands on, but he's not arrogant. So he's teachable. Like, oh, I could change, but when it comes down to his spirit and fearing God and loving our work, oh, I freaking loved him. And I love that he didn't take gifts. Like,
Yeah.
no, y'all think people worship idol. Like, I was like, oh my God, Quincy, preach in this story, preach to these people. Now I'm looking at people twice, and I love presents, but I gotta see who's giving me the presents because now
Listen, he was real deep with his stuff. Like he was very intentional about everything in his life. He was a gardener. He didn't eat from everybody.
that's a lot. But I was like, I could accept that. Like, I don't like India. These should get on my last nerves. But we'll talk about her in a minute. Let's go back to him getting his Teacher of the Year award. The hot mess principal trying to hit up on him. Like, what? But Quincy, I just love that, and with who was in, what's the girl name? I'm not thinking gonna come to me. Natalie, was it Natalie? Natalia?
His
Wait, I'm gonna
teacher's
have it somewhere in
aide.
my notes. Let me find it because I know I got her name in
Um,
my notes. I know I got her name in my notes
I think it
because
was Natalie. I think her
I
name
think
is.
it's Natalie.
Yeah, Natalie. I think it was Natalie.
Okay. Yeah, his teacher A,
Yeah.
and how she understood him and everything like that. I love that he
Hmm.
got a 4 years of world and his whole personality. And then it also talks to his character as a man after he shut that hot mess principal down, but him going to counseling with India after a year of separation just to give her peace.
Hmm.
Please talk about that because that's very deep.
Um, I mean, you kind of said it. Like he wanted to give her peace of like he knew she wasn't his person. He just needed her to see that, and and he wanted to make sure like he tried every effort because this was a woman he thought he was gonna marry. This was a woman and everything like that until when she declined his wedding proposal. That's when everything started to flip for him because it's like if you're supposed to be the one for me, you wouldn't deny my ring. He's going to counseling. He's realizing he has a more obsession with marriage than he does with finding the one that is for him. So
Mm-hmm.
he goes to counseling and stuff like that. And then a year later, here she comes because now he fits into her mold. He fits into her mold of what she wanted. Now it's one of those like the grass ain't green on the other side, and now you realize that, so now you want me back. And he's like, absolutely not. But I will go to counseling with you so you can see that because I'm not the one for you. And and I respected him for that because a lot of men probably wouldn't do that. They're like, "Girl, we done. Like, what else is there for us to do?"
Mm-hmm.
But he was one of those where like, "I'm gonna let you see for yourself. Like, I'm not the one for you."
Yeah.
Bishop even said, "I'm not the one for you." His wife even told you, "I'm not the one for you." So yeah,
Hot
I
mess.
love his personality. It was yeah, I love
Mhm. Oh my
it.
God. And I want to keep on talking about him because, of course, it's about him in London. But I loved how he went to supposed to go to lunch with his brother and how they
Mhm.
surprised him. I thought that was beautiful. And then London, was across and he like stops
Yeah.
her. Like, wait, hold up. I ain't let her get away from me now. I love that whole interaction with him and her and how she comes back, he's going through his head how he saw her several times, about
Mhm.
when she first walked into the school and all that good stuff and the presentation. And then they meet up again for another presentation after a year later or what now. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be working with you. The superintendent introduced them and then they go to lunch. And she goes, he's like, then give her, oh yeah, I'm gonna follow behind your driver. No invitation. And then she look at her driver, okay. And then she try to play when she goes to lunch and with her lesbian lover. And then she kissed her and opened up that can of worms. But I love how Quincy was like, because he has great discernment. Let's see
And
this
he saw
play
through
out.
all that. He saw through it all. Like London thought she was doing something, but immediately, like he saw her pain. He saw what she was trying to do. He saw it all. So that's why he wasn't even intimidated. He was impressed about the girl. He was just like, okay, we gonna see how long this lasts. Like
Yeah.
you're not scaring me off, London. Like I hope you know that.
Yeah.
Like
Then
try
when Macy
harder.
already told him, she likes you. I love that Macy whispered that to him when she was hugging her goodbye. And he's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah. Then he go on his lunch date. And then he was like how he was being petty too. He was like, no, I'm gonna wait. And while the girlfriend like she knows she had an hour, and he was like, oh, an
Hmm.
hour, I'm gonna sit here. And then how he read her after lunch. Let me tell you about yourself. When you ready to heal? I was like, oh, he had no shame, the bluntness
None.
in the spirit behind it. I was just like, where are you, Quincy? He read her so good that I was just like, well, all right.
He said what he said. He said what he said, and yeah, he said what he said.
And I freaking love that. How he read her and then he left. She left and she was like, that had like whatever. And then I love the scene after that where she's in the backyard with Case
Casey.
Casey
Casey.
Casey in and the girl calls and he listening and then he goes, got his drink. Wait, hold on, tell me you much. Don't tell me. No, 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 no.
He don't know where her lips been.
Her husband. He goes, don't do that. I ain't catching no model after you be. Don't do it. Don't do it. Yo, Casey Young comes at the perfect part to like lighten up everything, and you could tell he's so freaking serious about. Nah, I'm not gonna be. And he was looking at the wine he was drinking after her, like nah.
Yeah, and he was like, I'm not doing it. Like, no, like you full of it. I'm not even finna do that with you.
Oh my God, don't
Again,
do it.
everybody saw through her facade of what she was trying to create because they
Mhm.
knew London. They knew it wasn't like you're scared. You're acting out of fear, and that's what it was.
Yeah. And then she got bold enough to finally FaceTime Quincy. And he's like, oop, open door. And then
Yeah.
even in that conversation, he put, I wrote this down because it was good. Let me see what she asked her, aren't you tired of sleepless nights and nightmare? Like, what? Oh my God, how sexy is that? Like, he sensed it. Even Quest was like, all right, let me go. This is get out of here.
Mhm.
Sitting with his brother. But for him to be like, and he wasn't scared. Like he really walked in his calling. You know what I'm saying? Even though other people told him he was too much, he's weird. I love that. No matter what people have said, he really knew himself, and he was so into her that he was willing to say, I don't hope this don't scare her off. I'm trying to word it right, but aren't you tired of sleepless nights? Like I was like, yes. Aren't you tired, London? And even her, she was just like, give me. I love how she even responded to him. She didn't cuss him out.
No,
She listened to him. Like, give me time. Be patient with me. Like, I was just like so mature.
she was.
And I was just like, it was just mind blowing. How she handled that. And then that was like probably like right before the weekend, I think, because I'm trying to do the minds in my head because my notes. Because then she go to church on Sunday. Oh yeah, because she wanted to see her, and she said, "No, I'm going to church." And then she goes to church,
Yeah.
and what's her name? As how you say her name?
Oh, good Lord,
Azia.
Aziza.
Aziza, you come up with a weird name. You could have Ashley, Tiffany. You could have simple names, okay? You got all these names. I gotta try to figure out how to pronounce Aziza. And I loved how church gave her peace. I
Yes.
love that she could go in a balcony and sit there, and even if she falls asleep, Isaiah, the first lady, would come and like rub her hair. Like
Hmm.
that whole relationship was beautiful. Even when she was talking about how they go to brunch every Sunday, she took time away, to be with her every Sunday, have brunch with her, let her express herself. But she also talked about how patient she was. She'll ask a question and she'll wait all day for her to answer. She won't say nothing. And
Hmm.
then that's when she was talked to her about her first sexual assault and how um it was her fault. And she's like, no. When she like corrected her, like, no, it wasn't your fault. And people made her believe so many things. Obviously, she was a young girl going through those different things, and that relationship with her as Zia, as whatever her name is, that Chelsea Marie put in her book, why she had to be so difficult. Um, Talk about that relationship. Why did you have her have like this spiritual leader and all that good stuff? Because I thought that was very important.
I didn't want to go the Andrea route because she's been a counselor literally for all my
Hmm.
characters up until this book. Because I wanted somebody more mature,
Hmm.
more more wise. Like Aziza was older. She's seen stuff because I mean, we know Bishop ain't so quick and clean, even though he's a pastor of a church. So, and I wanted her to have that bond, like not a motherly figure bond, but
Hmm.
like that my older counsel, like I have that. So, and I appreciate that bond, even though I do have my mom and my friends, but it's something about those older women who are so much wiser that give you like this wisdom that you're just like, okay, like, it just hits different.
Yeah.
And like even though she was a first lady, like she said, like, yeah, she said I'm a woman first, then a first lady second. Like, and she even kept it real, like, the church has a perception of me. I am who I am. So having her talk with London because I knew she knew a lot about life. She experienced life, not in the same hardships as London, but she was able to guide her, and that's why I wanted her to really be London's mentor, as you can
Yeah,
say. Um, and I feel like she did a good job with that because I knew if I brought in Andrea, it wouldn't have hit as hard because Andrea, she is discerning, but I don't think she could have got London to be as open
that's true.
as Aziza did because Aziza didn't know London like that. Andrea did, and it wouldn't have worked out. So that's why I really wanted her to have a friendship with somebody else who was able to allow her the safe space to really be vulnerable.
Yeah. I like that. I like in all your books you do have like counseling and spiritual things. I'm like, I might need to see me a counselor. Because I'm like, I'm reading this, everything. Is this telling me something? But I do want to talk about this really, really great scene that started it all when Quincy showed up at her business with the flowers and pizza and the gummy bears. I love that because that kind of got everything going. That scene really got it going. Please, you have a thing about the specific gummy bears because you always make sure you say what type of gummy bears that they are.
I just be right, child.
But talk about that because that scene was everything. London and her so-called lover girlfriend Quincy come and get his drink, sitting in his cup, watching him with the flowers, watching him talking. Then she sees him, and the girlfriend, well, what? Sees him now. She mad. And then he got everything she posted. You gonna be my best friend for life, and he's sitting there just waiting. Oh my God, please talk about that because that was so good and sexy. Because I'm like, he got everything she said to the T. But he bought flowers.
So having him do that was like my introduction of him wanting to court her regardless of whatever situation she had going on. Like he didn't
Mm-mm,
care. To him, the girl didn't mean nothing to him. She was just that's your entertainment. That ain't got nothing to do with me. Like I don't care. I don't see her. I don't care about her. I'm trying to get you, London. And having the girlfriend there, like actually seeing like, oh, he's serious about her. I got competition.
mm-hmm.
And seeing how London transformed to like this soft being when he's around, like she blushes, she's all quiet, and she's not that way with the girl, but but with Quincy is like she blooms in a way.
Yeah,
And especially like when he brought her, the pizza and everything, and then like he was courting her. Like, I'm listening to what you're asking me. Like, I'm not even like basically like your demands aren't hard for me to meet. You just gotta tell me what you want.
exactly.
And
He
that's
was
what he was
delivering.
showing her, like, tell me what you want and I'll give it to you. And it didn't come with no strings attached. Like he put forth the effort to not only find out, like stalk your Twitter, but he went and got everything that you asked for and brought it to you. Waited till your company left because he wasn't going to just leave it.
Mm-mm.
And then he sat with you. He conversed with you, and then that's when he even decided to take you to his house because he wanted to show you his garden.
Talk about it, please, because you know that was my next question. Please talk about this garden, because OMG, that whole thing. Trust me. Do you trust me? Yes. So he takes her to his house. Why do you bring me here? I didn't know until I got closer. Brought her back to the garden. Oh, even when I was like, no, Quincy. And she went, had her mangoes, and then he broke it down to her.
Yeah, it's like how
Talk
you
about it.
you and he wasn't shy about it. Like he didn't feel like it emasculated him because he was a gardener. He knew the gift God gave him. He had hands to heal. He broke it down. Like, if I can nourish and grow my garden, what do you think I can do with you? Like, your scars are not so, so deep and so ugly that I can't help you heal. Like, I know the strength, I know the gift that God has given me. Like, it's in the power of my hands. I just need you to be willing. It's kind of what God says, like, the flesh is weak, but the spirit is willing. What you gonna do? So with his garden and him explaining to her, like, I'm showing you everything that I created here. with my bare hands. I have no rotten fruit. My garden is flourishing. Like I can literally make you whatever, and it will taste like you're tasting the fruit of my labor, literally. So if I can keep this garden, what do you think I can do with you?
Take the weeds out. I
And
could water you. The sun. I was like,
yes,
oh
like I
my
can take
god.
your weeds and water them. Basically, I can take your pain, give me your trauma, and I will give you revival. I will give you like I will rebirth you. Like, no, I'm not saying I'm God, but I'm his vessel. He's using me to get through you. Point blank period. So yeah, I
He's
love that
going to
moment.
put girl
Uh,
telling her she is his seed.
how he
When
can
he's
plant seeds.
planting. I'll
Like,
plant and I could I'll work hard. I'll pick the weeds. I'll water like, oh.
yes, like basically like you feel like you're hollow. No, that's seed. That is soil. That is soil waiting for seeds to be planted. Like everything that you feel like you are, I'm gonna turn it around and for your good. Like,
And she
no,
felt that because she boo-hooed.
she boohoo cried.
She felt that. And then the guard come running around and he saw, oh, okay. That was so like, I love the guard that he was on it. He did not play. Wherever she was, he was right there. But that
Right.
was just so, oh my God. And then with your comedic writing, you had to make sure something funny happened right after that.
Okay, see when
So
he
when, when Quincy dropped her off at home and he told her she on punishment with her fast, he can't let her go nowhere.
can't let her go nowhere. She don't punish me. Every time you let her go, something happens.
Oh my God, I wanted to die after Quincy dropped her off. I was like,
Yeah.
yo, Cassia ain't got no freaking sense telling her she's on punishment. And then she told him, and you can pick me up for our date. Let's talk about that. That, we gotta talk about that date. When he came to the house, him and Casey on, right?
Yeah.
Quincy and Casey have that conversation in the kitchen with London eavesdropping. But how he was like, how Casey was saying how he's not, I even though Quest is your brother, blah, I'll still kill you over her. That's my heart, whatever. And then Quincy was like, listen, even though I know she eavesdropping behind here, that's my, like, oh, even when he said it, she was standing, I was like, oh, but he didn't back down. I would not do anything to hurt her. I was just like, that was such a beautiful scene of two black men showing a love and devotion for this one woman who
Right.
didn't even value herself at the time.
Yeah. I love
Good.
that.
I loved it. And then that date, first when it was in a parking lot, her sniffing him, feeling her brain about the garage. I said, "Oh Jesus, it must be hot in this garage."
Right. But
Oh my
and
God.
I love that about him. Like he picked up on her moods quick and he was ready to shift anything to make sure she was comfortable. And he let her lead. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna do what you don't like. Everybody else can give you a choice. I'm gonna give
Mm-hmm.
you a choice. You tell me my boundaries, you tell me like what you like and what you don't like. It got a little hot. Like Casey said, a little fast tail. But even in that same token, like he respected her so much to where he's like, I respect you.
Ask
He
permission.
asked permission. Nobody ever asked her for permission that hurt her for anything.
Mm-hmm.
He asked permission to be in her world.
Yeah, it was crazy. And that gondola, I was like, oh my God, the roses, the music. He just had it. He planned, like she said, the perfect first date. And she realized no one ever did this for me.
Mm-mm.
And I was just like, that was just so freaking beautiful. Like that, I was just like, that's beautiful. And then after that, hot mess happened. I love how you keep us like this. You're like, hmm. And then after that, they traveling together. Then he's home, and a hot mess mama.
Oh gosh,
You
yeah.
read in the other book. Okay, I read. Y'all need to go back and read it. Got the freaking ex out the house. Oh my God. I was like, this woman, but it also shows us too, ladies, how if we don't handle our sons right, how toxic it could be. And I was just like, but both all the guys besides the husband, it's so. I wanted to ask you this, even though his mom's a hot mess, we know that, and his father is weak to her, but I loved how he still was able to show his sons how to be men. And then I think later in the story when he's talking to London about it, that he was like he think he did that intentionally, and I thought it was interesting how he was kind of like the father was kind of like a sacrificial lamb
Mm-hmm.
to the wife, even though she was crazy as ever. But I was like, here we go with the drama.
Because usually, like, in stories is usually flipped, where it's the woman who's the sacrificial lamb, especially in a marriage.
Hmm.
And you have a husband who prided himself on his raising his sons and making sure his wife was at her fullest potential. That's all he ever cared about, raising his sons and making sure his wife fulfilled her heart's desires. Everything else to him did not matter. It was even his dreams of owning his own auto body shop. It came third.
Hmm.
And you can see like the dynamics of it because they don't see him as weak, even though his mother was a piece of work and ran her mouth like nobody's business. He still raised them enough to where they respected their mother, but they also still respected him because he instilled enough value in them to understand, like, yeah, I sacrificed a lot for your mother because that's what I wanted to do. I'm not saying you guys are to do the same thing, but I'm showing you as men of like what it means. And he showed them his definition of what love looked like.
Yeah.
So, and that's how it was crazy because his oldest was the oldest one. Yeah, Quest has more authority over his mother than anybody else do.
Hmm.
But Quest was different also,
Very spiritual.
very spiritual. So that's
I
why he
can't wait to
let his
that book.
son. I'm not getting into that. I know how my son is. If my wife wants to go toe to toe with her son, I hope she's prepared because he gonna give her the business.
Hmm. And then you did a funny thing again. Then they go back home and then Cashin got beat up by Quest in the underground ring. Because she's like, what happened to you? I said, I love how you do that. Like you always bring in and make it funny. And then what happened? She going on their second date at his house. And he's cooking them a meal. And guess who's ringing his doorbell? India. And I thought that was so interesting how she came there and he was like, what are you doing here? But London was still, that shows her growth and her belief really that God has taken her on this journey. Because she could have had act a whole fool. Here's
The
some
old
people.
London would have been I'm not saying she would have been immature about it, but she would have called it would have escalated a lot more than what even happened. It would have been a whole nother turning events.
Hmm. And she handled it so well. And because she handled it so well, she got rewarded with this beautiful gift, the gimmel, gim,
Oh, the Gimmel rings,
the
yeah.
gimmel rings. And I love that he had like scriptures and all that. And she was like, these are the scriptures I say to myself. And then the last two, he was able to say it. I was just like, can he get any better? Come on. Like, he was so, and then he was like, I love even her growth. And we're watching her grow because he told her, like, sometimes when you're healing, your spirits can transfer and stuff like that. And then he's feeling all these things. And she goes, because that's how I felt. Remember, this wise man told me when he was like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" Her anxiousness, and he realized that that spirit transferred to him.
Hmm.
And I was just like, "Wow, like this is so deep. I love it. I freaking love how no matter what, but she was able to reassure him, just like he reassures her.
Yeah.
I thought that was such a beautiful scene on that couch, in his house where he restrained himself because she was being a little hot in the pants, and he was like, "You ain't ready for all of this." You ain't
She tried a couple times, and he kept telling her no.
He's like, nah, we can't go there because you ain't ready for this. Because if we go there,
Right.
and then after that, because it's this book is so much, and I'm like, I have so many notes because I'm like, it's too much to be like, I'm not rushing. What's this? Yes, And
Quest
I
is
was just,
different.
I love him because we were just
He
talking
is
about how she
different.
met him.
Quest.
Yeah, in the store when he came out,
Oh, with him and Dove.
and she was like, she couldn't get it, and then she then goes, "Nice to meet you." And she like, "What? Quincy, what? Quentin, London here." That whole scene, how he like read her and didn't say anything, and it was just, I thought it was freaking crazy but good. But he is different. But I was like, I need to meet somebody like that because to tell
Listen,
me more
I've
about
met some
myself.
very highly discerning people. Like, I guess you can say they have to get the foresight.
Mm-hmm.
And to do that with him, that's what he is. Like, he has a very strong gift of foresight, which is why he knew something wrong with was what why he came back. If you go back to the conversation he had with
Mm-hmm.
his brother, he knew something was wrong with Dove. He just didn't know what. God called him back. He just said he saw the app like what happened to her, but he didn't know when it would happen. So
Exactly.
he's a very different individual, not like weird or anything like that. He's just very anointed in his walk. Like, um, I can't wait to write this story either, but their story is really like one of my most mushiest stories. So, but
I can't wait. 'Cause we need to see that side of him. You know, it's in there. Somebody who's very discerning who he is. I could already picture him being a lover because
he
there's no
is.
way he cannot be a lover if he's that close to the spirit. Because God is love. You that close, ain't no way.
Listen, and that's exactly what he is with her. Like like it's almost like she's like his baby. He just nurtures her so. It gives me chills like every time I think about it because yeah, that man right there is like he don't play by Dove, but
Mm-mm. And then what happened after that scene? We have when, oh, I have to talk about this because it's so dear to my heart. Because it remind me when Quincy was taking the summer um off because he used to take all these things, and he was like, "No, I'm taking London." With talking to us on a cruise because she's never been for 2 weeks. I'm gonna go glamping because and he said because I'm making her dream. I said, did she take my slogan? I love it. I love it. Making her dreams reality. I was like, yes. He listened to everything she says. And I'm like, I love that he's doing this for her because a lot of times you mention things and he's like, no, I'm not taking any other assignments. I don't know what happened, but I'm still talking. I'm
I'm
not taking
sorry
any,
about that.
that was you going all black. I ain't taking any other assignments. But he's taking her on all these things that she just mentioned. And I was like, it's a beautiful thing to hear a guy who hears you and act without you telling him to act.
Listen,
That was great. And then what happened? You had to make us go back to a dark moment when Quest busts in the house, tells him take a ride with me. And then after he does that, they go find himself at um Casey's house. He
mm-hmm.
wants to ask London about what
Oh,
happened.
God. Yeah, and having them connected like that, it okay. So originally, Dove's story, I wrote Dove's story probably about 6 or 7 years ago. And before I even thought about publishing a book, it was just a thought that came to me and I wrote the whole story out. So then when I was doing London's book, it kind of hit me on, oh, I could intercede this in, and that will lead me to actually finishing publishing that book. So I've had Dove in the works for years, years. I just haven't found a way to bring her story to life. But everything that happened to Dove happened in the original story that I wrote. So it kind of went in because then I was like, okay, that's how I can introduce the new family, which is Hendrix and his crazy behind and all that. So as so that's how I was able to merge her in. And uh especially knowing what her dad did, he took the hush money and stuff like that and knew about it. And you have Quest here who was under her father's leadership. So it's a whole different it's
Girl,
a
so we're gonna
whole
get into that too because I was like, how he was acting a
uh,
fool later. Oh my god, that was crazy. Even when that whole thing happened, how all the guys got together and then London kind of went back in her thing, and then she ignored um Quincy, right? Quincy, I keep mentioning his name, y'all. And then Keisha took her out to get her out her funk because she was in the house and depressed for 8 days after that happened. And then he read her the truth, like, don't you dare ignore
Yeah.
me for this long. I'm speaking word. I gotta start doing these word notes. I'm sending you messages, sending you flowers, speaking into your life, praying for you every day, and you ignore me for 8 days. I love when a man is a freaking man. He ain't backing down. He checking her on every different way he can. Um, I was just like, wow. And then during that, after she gets checked, okay, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna do it again. Her father has a heart attack. Talk about it. Because that whole thing, her flying there, her dad being up, they having that beautiful, beautiful father daughter moment. I was like, oh my God, that brought me to tears. Then the hot mess thought coming, and then Quincy shows up. Talk about that because, like she said, I can't never win. Like she has this moment with her father when she thought he was about to die. That bed scene where he and his father's like, all I could think about was I need to apologize to my baby girl. Talk about it. Talk about it.
Yeah, because if like her mom, her dad wasn't there when the whole issue with her cousin happened when she was younger. When she told her mom what happened, then she ended up being accused of the reason why it happened. That kind of already soured her relationship with her mom. So all she had left was like her dad. And that moment when he apologized to her because it's like you finally understand, like you see me, like you just didn't know how to, how to say sorry. And that's all she wanted was somebody to say, like, I'm sorry for not being there for you. We see how it turned out with her brother. Like he was well pointing a finger, like basically saying, well, if you didn't do X, Y, and Z, none of that would have happened to you. No, her dad literally had a moment on what could have been his deathbed and made peace because that was his only daughter and he didn't want to leave this earth knowing that he wasn't there to protect her.
I love that.
Now, her issues with her mom, as we know, is like that's just not gonna be resolved. Like and I commend her for not feeling like she had to continue a relationship with her mother just because she's her mom.
Exactly. She was protecting herself. She was putting
She
herself first.
she was like, no, like if I want you in my space now, that's because you serve a purpose in my space. Her husband taught, well, yeah, her new husband taught her that not everybody has to be in your space. Not everybody is rooting for you. Not everybody is
Hmm.
there. And for her dad to have that moment for her, especially in that moment of where you have, well, first of all, let's go back to the hospital where Quest puts everybody in their place. The
Quincy, not
aunt,
Quest.
that's right, Quincy
Girl,
puts everybody in their place at the hospital. So it's like,
girl. First, like I said, the father said, I saw your light dimming, and I wanted to. When last time I saw you, it was all the way out. They have that father daughter moment, which was beautiful. Then she goes home, and Thotty come over, but she on the phone with Quincy and accidentally hang up.
listen, and he fly out. He's like,
Who
okay, let's.
get on the plane? That's what I'm
He
talking
flies
about.
out.
I'm like, yes,
He
Quincy.
flies out.
Because I don't care that she FaceTime me 45 minutes later. Tell me, I don't know. I'm gonna find out. Yeah, Quest gave me the info within 10 minutes. I wasn't playing that. Like, yeah, I know who Alabama State. I was like, oh my God. Yeah, I'm him.
And the
I'm him.
audacity of this Theo had to show up, and you think I want some sympathy booty?
What?
Like I had, like you told me I was not mature enough for you,
Nope.
but now you want me?
Say that again.
Like I'm gonna hit you with that Mike Jones. Back then, back then they did want me. Now I'm hot. They all on me. Like come on, like. I'm not you. You're not reaping the harvest of this growth. My man is like, where was you?
Hot
Yeah.
mess. Method therapy. And then the next day she's sitting in the corner while all her people talking junk. And Quincy overhears and girls talk about how he, woo! That was so sexy. He went in there and told him about herself. Why
Listen,
don't you ever? Matter of fact, don't even speak to her. You speak to me.
and that's all she ever wanted was somebody to defend her.
Mm-hmm.
And he did it without even having to ask, not even
Nothing.
ask. He didn't even ask, like, well, what did you do? It's the fact that they talk to you wrong and they're not gonna talk to you wrong while you in my presence.
Not even when you're not in my presence.
Like,
Test me. Test me. Oh, yes.
and then
Test
for her to
him.
see that, now it's like, okay, you want to meet my daddy?
And then he poured into her in front of everybody.
In front of everybody. Like, I don't care
You are
about
the
them.
lightning. I was like, no one called me lightning, but I like where this is going.
Like, he didn't care. His whole main focus was London. He
Yeah,
made it known, like, you are my priority
yeah.
in everything that he did. Everything.
I freaking love that scene. And then they go home. That was the first time they're together, but he holds her the whole night. So I didn't get higher and comfortable. The next morning she makes him breakfast. And let's talk about what happened right after breakfast, because you wrote it. You wrote that scene. So talk about it.
I mean, after breakfast, well, while she's making breakfast, she's on the phone with Aziza, basically having our grown woman conversation. Like, girl, that's your man. Like, you could do what you want to do. Like, is that, you see what I'm doing? You see Bishop over here? We are grown.
What she said?
And
Make love to me, Quincy. Do you trust me?
he tell her to go upstairs and get ready while he clean up.
Girl, I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm no. I'm gonna make sure you ready for this. Walk in that room because she was got scared when she saw all that deliciousness.
Right, she saw all the chocolate
I don't know if I
glory,
can take it.
and
Oh, you gonna take this? I'm gonna make sure you ready.
you know what I'm saying?
What, Quincy? I was like, okay, Quincy.
And he was gentle with her, and he still, in those moments, asked permission.
Oh my god, that was
He
so
included her in their moment, and yeah.
tying her up and then touch your man, touch your man. I was like, oh, Quincy. You wrote that scene, girl. You wrote that scene. I was like, yes. You don't think they already did it so many times because of intimacy, like I told you.
Listen, yes, Vicky, he did not play about her.
No, not
He
at
didn't, he
all.
didn't play about her, and I really loved it. Like, how he met her, like, from the beginning, when he decided, okay, I'm about to put this pressure on you because I want you. He was very intentional, and he made sure she always felt like a priority to him.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of whatever it was.
And
And
guys didn't know that. Because I swear, that's the only reason when I started talking to my husband, I was talking to other guys all at the same time. I'm like, nope, I'm not dating none of y'all. I was very, but he was just like a Quincy. He made it know he wanted me. He told me he was going to have me. He didn't care who thought anything about it. Even my mom was like, my mom, when he first know, you're going to be my mom. She was like, his parents are you. She's like, no, this is who I want to be with. I tell anybody that would turn a person on so much. Like you don't care what anybody thinks. You know what you want, and it's like that's the best turn for any woman. I'm like, and that's why he's
yes,
still here because no matter still today, you can't come from me. He gonna have a problem.
girl,
I said, you want to see
there
another
we
side
go.
of my husband? He's the nicest, quiet. They always say, oh, he's nice and quiet. I said, try me or his kids. You gonna see a whole different person that you like. Where did that come from? And I'm like, every time I told him, he's like, you having a feel? I said, John, I'm reading you. I'm reading you. You just don't got the garden. You need to get, but everything is very similar. Because he's particular too, which is so funny. But that whole sex scene was amazing. I was like, well written. I love the whole
Yeah.
intimacy of everything about it. It wasn't rushed.
That's
Yes, he
right.
doesn't. He
That's
don't
right,
play.
girl.
That's why he got my stamp of approval. You know, I don't. Mm-mm. For real, because as women, I tell women this all the time, like, oh, how you been together with each other so long? I said, because I had standards and boundaries. I'm very black and white on some things when it comes out to my relationship. And one thing, my husband's like, oh, how do you say it? He said, because I know my wife. One, I would never want to do anything to jeopardize our relationship. But two, I know her value. I ain't messing this up. And she gonna be like, quick, fast, I'm done. Yeah, that part. You don't mess with the loved ones. If you really feel that deep about, like, somebody come for your mama, somebody come for your sibling, it should be the same way about your spouse, no matter who it is. You're not going to do that. You're not going to come in and mess up what's going on. You have to be like, no, ride or die for real. Like, even when, like, wait, hold on, I don't care if my brother, I don't care if it's cash, I'm going to make sure. And even like my mom said, she goes, my mom and my husband, I'm so thankful they have a great relationship. But she was like, she said to me, she goes, Whitney and John, they'll fight anybody for me, but they ain't letting me mess with you. Because it's true. Like, and she said, but she always said, but I'm not mad about it, because it's supposed to be like that. They're supposed to be literally one. If somebody come after me, my husband should feel away, even if it's my mom. If somebody attacks him, I should feel away if it's my mom or his mom. You should feel away when you're that connected, and that person needs to know, no matter what, because life is going to be a freaking roller coaster, up and down, round and round, crazy. Me and my husband together for 17 freaking years. We've seen a lot of crap, and I'm not even talking about infidelity, because thank God we didn't have those issues. But life happens.
Life happens. Yeah.
Life happens, and you have to understand. No matter at your lowest lows, you got that person like, yo, they're gonna pick me up. Either way, you know what I'm saying? You go through so many different transitions in life, and nowadays I tell people the reason, and the way that's because we don't give up. Y'all be like, something happened today. If somebody shows you who they are, like Quincy, God forbid something happens and he can't work, or his business, his company business go bankrupt. His character is his character.
Right.
He's who he is. If he's not lazy, he's a hard worker. He built that garden. Okay, he might have a hard time, but he gonna get back up on his feet. But you can like, oh, now like she with London. Oh, she didn't grow up, but now she up. No, you didn't see her value. And we do that a lot in these nowadays relationship, but that's why they got left at the door. Bye. Get out of here. We don't want you no more. But then
that's right.
We don't want you no. I don't want you no. Who sing that song? Somebody. But I love how he protected her, he poured into her, and then he made love to her. That is a great combination. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. He did all that within a matter of hours. Like, that is freaking amazing.
Right. Like, he got to know her.
Mm-hmm.
He earned her trust.
Yeah.
He made sure she was comfortable. It worked out. It wasn't just like, he showed her that it wasn't just about the sex. Exactly. Like, that was just an added bonus.
Mm-hmm.
So
the intimacy was so deep, and it was just amazing. And then of course she has to take us on. When she takes us up, she got to take us, like, she got to do this to us. Because then she comes back to pick up pieces, and then she see Dove at the shop when she was going to get Casey on stuff, and she breaks down. And then after that breakdown, the whole hot mess stuff just start popping off. We got like a series of happened.
It's like everything just went boom.
I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah. Like, it seemed like the vacation ended and life was lifing.
Life was lifing, because as soon as she left there, she's strong. She didn't even have to tell Quincy she had to go home to Casey on. She went home, running to find him, and he has all her stuff laid out. Like, he sensed that she was coming to him. That was beautiful. I don't care anybody say. I thought that was a beautiful moment. When she walked in the room, she had a lighting on pause, her blah friend, her candle stuff. And she didn't call her, or because he just sensed it. And like, I gotta prep for whenever she comes, everything's ready. Her favorite. I thought that was so beautiful.
And how Quest was even secure in himself to say, okay, you need to go to the place that you're familiar with in this moment.
What a man.
Because it's one thing for him to be present during her healing, but he wasn't present with her trauma. Her safe space was Casey.
You respect that.
And he respected that.
I tell you, he's a man's man. Like, you can't even these words don't give him justice. Of all the things you said about him, with even not even saying it about him, was speaking phenomenal. Like, Quincy is just like you said, go. He didn't feel away. He wasn't insecure about it. He knew
Mm-mm.
his place. And even before earlier when her father thing, he called Casey and called Quincy because he knew like they respect each other. That's some real man type stuff. Um, which was amazing. I just freaking thought that was just so beautiful that he already sensed what was going on. And then after all that, Natalie, you know, she committed
Yeah.
suicide. Then London and Luna hot mess, thinking they somebody. What? And Luna was driving me
Well,
crazy. I wanted to
they-
jump through that book and smack her for her freaking father. I'm like, come on. I remember when we first introduced her when she was little. I said, this is what you grow up to be. Like this is like her father said, you ain't me.
But
Talk about
again, we're dealing
all
with
the drama
another
she caused.
woman with daddy issues. So now she's trying to, yeah, she's
Now they
doing a
commit
whole lot of
suicide.
a whole lot of a whole lot.
What happened? So she breaks down. She called Luna, says she ready. Luna comes to get her. They got guns and masks. They about to blow up somebody. Elgin, I think's his name. But then
Yeah,
Hendrix got him. And then they go home. Yeah,
yeah,
girl. Yes, we talked about that and it was so deep. So she goes back. She's like, no, she was really off the chain. Not in a good way either. Go home. She breaks down, tell Casey what happened. All the guys meet. Even Luna boyfriend comes like, well, why he spirit? Because that's my cousin. He says, that's my cousin, ho. Like, what the hell? He like expounded about love, his dynamic over her. Like he could shut her down real fast in a
hmm
hurry. But then they go to the jail, to see him after. Well, first he had the guy Hendrix when Quest and Quincy go to Hendrix's house. He got the boy burning in the backyard. He called the police on himself. I'm like, what? I'm like, this boy, what in the world is going on? And then finding all the brothers, the Doobie brothers, are all rapists.
the
That
whole
is some
family.
girl. You talk some generational type messed up blood. That is a hot mess. So they in jail. Luna visiting Hendrix because the cousin
hmm
saying all the business about Dove without even not reading the room.
She wasn't reading the room at all. In London, she's like Luna,
Shut
just stop.
up! Shut the hell up! You not even seeing he throwing chairs. How you still talking to boy throwing chairs behind your head, breaking stuff, and you just still like, what, girl? Then all the men telling them about themselves. They pissed off. Um, and then when she go back home, let's then what happened after that? Then after
Uh,
all the guys yell at London and
and Katie,
Luna and had to put her in her freaking place, like why? Because you freaking fool. That yeah, now you feel like you're not me. So then London runs to go get it back to go with Quincy, and then talk about the conversation between Casey and London. That little breakup. Talk about it.
yeah, my poor Casey, he had a moment,
That hurt
which
me
is
too. I felt him.
understandable.
I did feel him, but I was like, come
I
on,
felt him
Casey.
too.
I felt him.
I felt both sides.
Mm-hmm.
I felt her side because it's like, okay, I want to go to my man. I want to be up under my
But
man
she's
now.
growing.
She's growing, right? I also understood his because it's like for the last year, we've shared our space. Like I've
Mm-hmm.
laid next to you every day. And then now to him, that registered abandonment. Now you don't need me anymore. Now I'm not good enough for you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You got this new man over here, so you don't need me. You're leaving me in his
Mm-hmm.
mind like everybody else did, his mommy issues. You're leaving me, you're leaving my kids. So whereas he should have, I do think they kind of they should have had like a conversation
Mm-hmm.
to kind of, smooth it out more than her just up and leaving. But at the
But she
same time,
wasn't. Remember, she seemed like she just packed one bag.
right, she was just only going
But
for a couple of days
and he
and she was
told
coming
her, if
back.
you walk out this house, don't you come back no more.
Right. And both of them were playing a dangerous game from the beginning once they decided to share those intimate spaces.
Yes.
Because now we're both vulnerable. Nolani had just died.
Mhm.
London was dealing with her rape. You
Mhm.
got two traumas and two different people. Y'all are clinging to each other. And y'all are trying to heal and y'all healed each other. So when one of those spaces leave, the other one is trying to figure out how do I do this without you?
Mhm.
And that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
So
And Quincy said that, you surprised this happened? When she came to him, and she was like, depression. I was like, oh, please, Lord. But you did a great job. Once again, you did it very, even though he was petty, sending all her stuff to her. And the next day I
I
heard
mean,
the
it's
picture was
Casey,
good.
and like he has to be with the antics. Like he
He,
gotta be,
he's so extra.
yeah, he gotta be extra
Got the
with it.
kids involved. No, no, we don't talk to you because you a snitch. You left us. You a thief.
Right.
Listen, I'm like, so why you bring the kids in it? Oh, that was I
But
did feel
then
that.
her man went and checked him. Like, remember, you told me if I couldn't handle her, give her back to you. But yet, look how you're treating her. Like, when
That was
has
so
she
sad.
ever left you? She's still here.
She's still here. And that also talks about Quincy's. And like he said, do you really want her gone? Because she can get over you. I can let in a while she'll forget you. And he had to think about that. Wait, hold on.
Right? Like, I can make her forget you. Do you really want me to do that?
The man that Quincy is just words can describe. I said again, cannot describe how he told London, "Are you shocked? Didn't see her like this, yo. Thank you." The first thing he said, "Thank you for healing her, for preparing her for me."
Hmm.
Was Casey on? He couldn't say nothing. Then he broke it down to him, which was like, wow. But oh, we forgot one part: the cruise.
Oh, when he proposed.
And when she gave him the business,
Yes.
we forgot that when we went go.
Yeah, we jumped.
We jumped. It's all still similar because they just broke up in a sense, and then Quincy took her on a cruise, and then he checked him when he got back because she was still sad and whatever.
Right.
Because a lot happened because once again, Kayshawn is London's best friend. At the end of the day, that's her person, and I love also. Let me put this out here before we talk about the cruise. I loved how you made a guy and a girl best friends and each other without having sex. I
Yeah.
love how
There was like no, no, like even when he said like when she tried him,
mm-hmm,
he valued what they
your
had
friendship.
too much for him to even look at her like that.
Exactly. And I love that. Because people it can
Mhm.
happen. It can happen if you really have a level of respect and value on that person. But talk about the cruise and how she made him feel emotional when she was like,
Yeah. Like how he wanted to take her on a cruise. She never been on a cruise, so he took her on a cruise because he took the summer off. And again, one of those where he listened to what she wanted so he can give it to her. And they're at dinner and he planned a whole night and everything like that. And he's thinking he's about to surprise her. And she flips it around and surprises him, basically like giving him what was it, the LLC, the
yeah,
business
mm-hmm,
for them to go into business together. Like
for the gardens,
for the garden, he's going to be the produce provider for
the schools.
the schools.
How cool is that?
Like, come
And
on,
the
like
proof
that.
she listened to him too.
Yes.
And he said no one ever did that for him.
Nope.
So they're
So,
literally yin and yang. They're listening to each other. They're doing all these great things. Yeah,
yeah.
that dude, that was so sad. I was like, he's down with your petty behind, getting the kids all into this. Definitely, what's her name, Melly? She
Yeah. She had just, yeah, she wanted London.
she wanted her
And
so bad, and because I was, that was her comfort place. And then he proposed to her with her favorite dessert. That was just like I love that
she
moment.
poured into him in that whole moment. Like he had the whole speech planned out
Mm-hmm.
and she flipped it on him. Like, no, like I want to
Yeah, I
pour
was
into
just like, you
you, like
smell
how
me?
you pour into me.
That was beautiful. And you could say marry her. She didn't even realize it was sitting right there. They plan their date. And then she comes home and she's still sad, even when she went to the women's tree. I love that woman's that they do that every month. I'm like, that's beautiful. Talking about it. And I see how you put the little seeds in for some other books. Can't wait. You're going to tell us about this when this book is over because I want the rundown of how you about to drop these books. And that's when Quincy went and checked Casey.
Yes.
So that now we're back there, which was a great check. And then she goes out to lunch with her mom.
Yeah.
And her mom said, I want to check out this black candle place. Don't she like candles?
Yeah.
And she walks into a surprise engagement party
Right.
on Casey's birthday. How freaking
Like
that whole scene! I was
he was still that selfless with her. Like, I'm gonna celebrate, even though it's my day. I want to celebrate you. I want to apologize. And how they had their whole moment. He even got emotional and how she poured into him in front of everybody.
and then the brothers they
Yes.
got up there, and then the son with the portrait. That whole scene made my freaking night. I was like, oh, this is so beautiful. Oh, this is just so beautiful. And I was like, is she gonna tell her she's pregnant because they've been going raw dog for a while now? I thought that was gonna be the next surprise.
No.
I was like, I said it better be in the next book because she did kind of leave us on a cliffhanger. We know they get married. Everybody was talking at that girl thing about everybody being pregnant, but she never popped up her being pregnant. I said she gotta be pregnant. There's no way she going like this and she ain't pregnant. Just like she got pregnant by the rapist. Ain't no way her stuff ain't floating up in there. But that scene, you ended it definitely. You concluded it, but still wanting us, making us want more.
Yes. It's a lot more to come. Um, of course, Dove and Quest. You got Casey and Story. Um,
We still got the Pacino. Did I say Pacino?
yeah, Pacino and Capone because they going through their mess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then you have who else? Luna,
Mm-hmm. Her crazy self.
her crazy stuff, and then Sojourn's family is the next family I'm doing because they crazy. Uh,
Who
and
family
then
you doing next?
her man, Sojourn, her man's boy.
Sojourn.
Yeah,
Oh my god, I like his personality already. I do have a question because I don't know if you mentioned this in this book or whatever. Wasn't Macy dating Patron's son?
yeah, yeah. Okay, yep. Macy and PJ, they'll have their book too.
Because I'm like, where's PJ in this book? I knew she was dating him, and Macy popping up, and she's older in college. And I'm like, she don't mention PJ. Where's that story at? Because I've been waiting a long time. But their love was so freaking cute.
It was.
So I'm like, and you like they're gonna have something going on. So I'm waiting for that story. Who else are we waiting on? Because I'm about to put in my memory.
um. So you got Macy and PJ, Casey and Capone and Pacino, Luna, her man, Dove and Quest. Oh, and then the one that I'm writing right now, because the one I'm writing actually segues into everybody else's books, which is Bashé's brother. Not Baché, Bishop's brother. Yeah, he plays a very important, intricate in this whole series. The whole idea came out of left field. So that's coming. That would be my next release, definitely, because I'm halfway done with it. But his book literally spearheads everybody's book on how it just
So Bishop, the pastor brother.
yes. Yeah, because him, Mitch, Pacino's daddy, they all grew up together.
Yeah, that's why he got those guns with him in church because of his past life history. This is
Right.
getting really good. This is getting really good.
So, and then I recently dropped the novella. Did you read the novella I just dropped?
I don't know because I could have because one I want to know. I want to ask you this question, and I hope that your book called I gotta see it because I'm like my mom's. Remember that book you just read? And I'm like I read like 100 books a month. You gotta like do me better, guys. Please, this is my personal thing. I can't wait since this new year.
Yes, Bache's. Listen, that's Bishop's brother. I dropped the novella
About him? What's it called? I'm
about
gonna read it.
I have to send you a link because it's not on Amazon. It was free on my website, and it's the whole is everybody, like everybody you can possibly think of is in that book, and it literally talks about what's about to happen next. Yeah, like it's a lot of stuff unfolding in that family.
Oh
So
my God, this is so again so good. God, I told y'all, and for y'all who hasn't started from the beginning, this is your time. Go back, catch up, because even though you know what happened with London, everything else you don't freaking know. Like she writes where this book that you still don't know what that is. Like it's kind of gives you don't know about Emil, you don't know about really Casey and what happened, you don't know about her brother, you don't know about any of those people. You have to go back and read the stories because it makes it even better. And this has already been an excellent read. So please tell everybody where they can follow you, what you say your next book, when you think you're gonna drop your next book, and your whatever else you want to tell them because this is your time.
you can find all my books on Amazon, Chelsea Maria. I'm on all social media, Chelsea Maria, literally just Chelsea Maria. That's how you can find me everywhere. My website, chelseamaria.com. And I should be done with Bache's story the end of July, the beginning of August. So that should be my September release. So early September is when you should expect his book. And yeah. I hope everybody has read the series up until then because you might be confused as to
Ooh, I like my blue.
you might be confused as to like who he is. I mean, he is a new character, but the Cowmans are in it. Everybody's in that book because he uncovers a lot of secrets that everybody thought was secret that I didn't even mention before. So, um, yeah, definitely catch up before that book comes out. And yeah, I plan on doing all the other books that I mentioned, and then I think Casey will probably be my last book for the series because he's the last one I want to touch. And then I'm doing another series, and that's all the kids. So
I can't wait to read the kids either because they're all be grown.
yes, Vicky, I love you too, girl.
One thing, look at my voice. I'm gonna talk so much. Thank you, everybody, especially Chelsea Maria, because she knows she's like my fave. I love all her. I haven't read one thing of hers I did not like. So you guys need to go and catch up because this is a great series. When thank you for taking the time out because, like I tell you guys, time is precious. You know, I don't like wasting my time, and for you to think that I'm valuable enough for you all to come up here for us like an hour and a half, I appreciate y'all. Please follow me on all your social media platform. And guys, you know, next year we have our book cruise, and you know, beautiful Justin, you're gonna be there. I can't wait. She's gonna be there. So if you didn't get your tickets, please do. Because like I tell everybody, prices are subject to change. I don't do the cruise line prices. I'm just here to direct us all there. It's gonna be a great time. You can find me everywhere at Whitney's Escapes. Thank you again, and good night.
Bye, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Do you work too much, constantly on the go, miss hanging out with friends, family, or even yourself? Do you ever feel like you need an escape? Whitney's Escapes is here to help with just that. We specialize in family travel, autism travel, group trips, vacations, staycations, and more. So when you're ready for your next escape, make sure you contact us at whitneysescapes.com. Follow us on social media at Whitney's Escapes as well. Whitney's Escapes.